Okay. Before we begin, I would like to introduce the elected officials of DeKalb Township. We have our supervisor, Eric Johnson, Trustee Jim Lupke, Trustee Kurt Schweitzer, Road Commissioner, JR, John Heidko, our tax assessor, and Pat McKinley, right here, another trustee, and there's Mike Shane back there, another trustee. Then we have Jody, our deputy clerk. Did I forget anybody? I'm nervous. Bear with me. Two matters are setting the pay for the moderator and selecting the moderator. Historically, the pay has been set at $50. Is there a motion to set the pay of the moderator?
Second.
Second by all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, is there a motion? Okay, I will select the moderator. Do I have
I'd like
a
to
motion?
make a motion, please. A nomination, please. Kay Shelton to be our moderator.
Second.
I'd like to nominate Eric Johnson. Sorry.
Who's second for Kay Sheldon?
Mac McIntyre.
Second. Okay. Any others?
I nominate Eric Johnson.
Second.
Second by Maxine. Any other nominations?
My name is Kurt Wood, and I nominate Elizabeth Bass for moderator.
Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Any more nominations?
Point of order, what order do we go in here?
Colleen? Where are you? I need help. I've never had this happen before.
Is this township attorney?
Okay, our township attorney, Colleen.
Gotcha.
What I do is go in the order of the nominations.
Okay, order of nominations? Okay, we'll go in the order of nominations. Okay, so I guess since it's going to be by hand count, we're going to have to do it that way. So I maybe can't be standing up. So raise your hand. Like, hi. So did you come up here and help me, please?
You vote yes or no on each one,
No.
or do they all compete against one another?
Just better have a big hand.
Wasn't sure. Just want to check the procedure.
Okay. All those in favor of Kay Shelton, please raise your hands.
done, you know, I don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
Elizabeth Bass. You want me to read the total? 25 for Kay Shelton, Eric Johnson 18, Elizabeth Bass 41. I had voted had 43 and
Excuse me, you're saying you're not sure what the vote is? Yeah.
No, you want to verify that you're saying you're unsure of what the vote is.
It's overwhelming
For
for
record.
Elizabeth Bass.
At least 41.
it's at least 41 for Elizabeth Bass, which clearly she won. You want me to recount?
We were all split up in different sections of the room and you can count us one by one. I think we should just go with the vote at hand since it's overwhelmingly in support of Elizabeth Bass.
I second that.
I'd make a motion for civility.
For what?
For what?
Civility.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Elizabeth Bass,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of moderator at this township meeting
of moderator at this township meeting
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Executive General.
Next item is the minutes of the 2011 annual town meeting.
Make a motion, please, to dispense the reading of minutes.
There's a motion to dispense with the reading of the
Second.
minutes. And a second. You need the names.
I need the name of the second.
The name of the second.
Austin Quick.
Austin Quick. May I ask anyone making a motion to please state your name? All right, we have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes, which are in your packets. Is there any debate on this? If not, all those in favor with dispensing with the reading of the minutes, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion has passed. We next have the reading by the clerk and acceptance of the annual treasurer's report, which is also in the packet. Yes,
For
Mr. Schweitzer.
Schweitzer, I move that we dispense with the reading of the treasurer's report.
Lipsky, second.
We have a motion to dispense with the reading of the report and a second. Is there any debate? Hearing none, we'll now go to a vote. All those in favor with dispensing of the reading of the treasurer's report, please say aye. Aye. All those who are opposed, nay. The motion has passed. A motion would now be in order to set the time of any special town meeting at 7 p.m. Is there such a motion?
Eric Johnson, I move to set the time of any special town meetings at 7 p.m.
I'll second that.
There is a motion and a second to set the time of special town meetings at 7 p.m. Any debate on that question? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion passes unanimously. Next in order, according Walker.
Second.
Second from Dan Kinney. We have a motion and a second to hold the next annual meeting, April 9th, 2015, at 7 p.m. Is there any debate on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. The motion passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the advisory referendum. I suspect that is what most people are doing. You have a packet. You will find the referenda at the back of the packet. I assume yes, they are, at least in my packet, are in the order they appear on the agenda. And each one will be dealt with separately. That is, it will come to the floor. If there's any discussion, there will be discussion, then a vote on that referendum, on that item. And these are the approval of advisory referendum. I wonder if there's, if we have I would ask that if you are speaking to these, if you keep your comments brief. We have a lot of people. We may at some point need to entertain a motion to limit the length of time people can speak in order to become a relatively reasonable power. So let's start off and see what happens. All right. The first item is the approval of advisory referenda on the DeKalb home rule. The referenda itself would read, shall the city of DeKalb continue to be a home rule city? It's an advisory referendum. All right. Does someone want to move adoption of this item?
I move to adopt. Mark Sharbat.
Yes?
Second.
Second from Mac McIntyre. Giving your names not only helps us order, it helps people present know who is speaking, which I think as citizens we appreciate that. All right? We have a motion and a second. Is there any debate on the issue? Mr. Sherwood.
Not debating on the issue per se, I want to give everybody the opportunity to vote. That's why these referendums are on here. We want to give all the citizens of DeKalb Township the right to express their views on these issues. I am neither advocating in favor or against these issues at tonight's meeting. I'm advocating for your right to vote on these issues in November on the ballot. Our city leaders don't seem to want to hear from what the citizens of DeKalb have to say. And this is our opportunity to let them know that we have an opinion on these issues. And that's the reason why all three of these items are on the agenda tonight. So I thank the township for actually listening to one of their citizens, which unfortunately we don't get too much of from the city. So that's why I asked you all to vote yes, to place these items, vote yes. By voting yes tonight, you're not voting on whether or not you agree or disagree with the substance of the referendum. It's to put it on the ballot in November, giving citizens the power. That's an awesome feature of the township that you do not get with city government or county government. Township government is run by the people. We all have a vote here tonight. So if you vote yes, you're going to give your fellow citizens the right to have a say on these three very important issues which have been discussed in our community. Thank you.
See a hand back there. Please identify yourself.
My name is Edward Wilcox, and I personally find Mr. Sharbat's comments a little disingenuous. I wonder how many of you are aware of how much of the city of DeKalb actually lies in Portland and Afton Township. So you are automatically, these are people that live within the city limits of DeKalb that will not be allowed to vote on this referenda simply because they don't live within the township of DeKalb. I'm also wondering how many people are aware how many citizens of the city of Sycamore will be voting on these referenda items because they live in the township of DeKalb. So not only do we have people who live outside the city limits voting on something that would not affect them in any way, shape, or form, but you've got people who do live within the city limits who would be affected by this that are not allowed to vote on this because they don't live within the township. I think for those two reasons alone, because we would be disenfranchising a whole section of people that he claims to be representing, that these items should not be on the ballot at all.
Anyone else who wishes to speak on the first referendum, should the city of DeKalb continue to be a home rule city?
Well, I think the issue really isn't, I think no one will be affected by this vote one way or the other. It's an advisory question. And one thing we've been using is the word referendum. It's not a referendum, it's an advisory question. It's to get people's opinion about an issue. And I think it's dangerous to stand in the way of democracy in any way to give people a chance to voice their opinion about something. Now, the issue about people outside of the city of DeKalb voting, we have the issue of the fact that there's only 1,000 something outside of the municipality that's voting, that where over 90% of the people who will be voting on these questions live within the city of DeKalb.
And I would submit that if there's any disenfranchisement of any citizens, that it's not a true democratic action. And this does disenfranchise those that live within the city limits that are outside of the township. And this, I would agree, this is a question that needs to be put before the voters to get their opinion, but it does not need to be put in front of the citizens of Sycamore. It does not need to be put in front of people who live 5 miles outside the city. This question needs to be answered, but it needs to be answered solely and only by the people that it directly affects.
Just one other comment here on that.
Mr. Charvat?
Yes. Okay, you just
I know. I would ask that people wait to be recognized.
okay.
And I think we will let others speak
That's
before
fine.
someone gets a second
It's not
time if there's no objection. Are there others who wish to speak to this?
My name is Jack Bennett. I live in 221 Joanne Lane in DeKalb. I believe that the township is a valuable structure in our government. It has no direct authority of any kind that I know of over the city of DeKalb. Township works with the city of DeKalb on many things, but that's different. I believe there's no any more reason to have these advisory questions than there would be to have questions of, do you want peanut vending machines?
Is that on the record?
Would you be against that?
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
I think that this is a pretty good example of.
Excuse me, would you please give
My
your
name
name?
is Mac McIntyre.
Joseph, thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
I think this is a pretty good example of direct democracy at work. And I want to remind all of you that as electors of DeKalb Township, I will be confident to guess that most of you, an overwhelming majority of you, are also electors to the city of DeKalb municipal offices. This annual meeting was formed centuries ago when the country was founded. And the purpose of this annual meeting is for the people to come together and air their concerns and reach consensus or vote on important issues to them. The reason the advisory questions are on here is so the electors can give guidance to the representatives that they elected on issues. You can vote down or vote it up. That doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I agree with Ed Wilcox. I think it should be on the ballot. And now that we have the court position on the November ballot, which creates city business, we can have the home rule as a binding question on the November election. And I say that issue should be brought together because there's something that we all need to remember. Home rule was started in 1970. A major part of it was to try to consolidate the governmental units. We had 6,500 at the time. We have 6,900 now. How is the state of Illinois' finance? Give me an honest answer. What is the state of Illinois' finance? Is that a pretty picture? Why is it? How about having to borrow $1 million, $1.5 million to have a voluntary separation pay for employees because our budget has been spent at a rate of 6% when our revenues were at 3%.
Point of order.
And those are
Point
just
of order.
basic truths.
Point of order.
Point of order takes precedence.
We are debating whether or not these items should be on the ballot, not the merits of the items themselves.
I'm not speaking
No,
to
excuse
merit.
me, it is appropriate if you wish to address the merit of the content of the item itself, but please try and restrict yourself to the issue of in this case, shall the city of DeKalb continue to be a home rule city? That is the item on the floor right now.
And that is what I'm speaking of. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
And-
we're here.
Oh, you had more you wish to say?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you would. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's important to remember the purpose of this meeting. That is, you as an elector have a voice and to look at the problems that we have and wonder, is home rule a contributor to that? Because unlimited debt without voter approval, that's home rule. Any way to raise the tax or fee without voter approval, that's home rule. Look at our state's finance, look at our municipal finance. Is home rule something that should be debated so that we know the performance or lack thereof, and we can make a non-emotional decision on an issue that's costing us and the future generation.
All right. Who else wishes to speak? All right. There were two hands over here first.
Herb Rubin. A few very brief comments. First of all, townships were set up to handle strictly local actions in terms of the current incarnation of townships. They handle roads, social services, some home assessments, things like that.
Could you speak up a bit?
Townships were established to handle local functions for the people of the township in an era in which getting to the township was possible because we're literally in a horse and buggy era. Their functions are basically dealing with rural events that then morphed into handling social welfare things, for which they do reasonably well. But that is a limited function government, and it's not meant to be a broad sounding board. Secondly, we're talking in terms of the democracy involved in terms of the election. This vote, I'd like to say I am very familiar with local government. I spend a lot of time at it. It was by pure chance that the newspaper covered a story indicating that a ballot had been presented to a local form of government that rarely gets much newspaper coverage. And then by chance, people learned about it, and then they came out. Democracy is not putting in a vote in the least known local form of government and then expecting people to react to it in a sensible way.
Point of order.
Third,
One moment, what is your point of
Third.
order? It's stated as a point of order,
And this issue was,
which means does not deal with the content of what's being said. That's not a point of order.
could you hear my point of order?
Yes.
He wouldn't even say anything.
This discussion, these points were made with the DeKalb County State's Attorney
That
as
is
to
not a
whether
point of
there
order,
was
sir.
merit
Sir,
of this
Mr.
vote.
McIntyre, that is not a point of order. That will be something, some kind of thing to come up in the debate. But it is not a point of order. Point of order would deal with a procedure when you're not, for example, when you're not proceeding correctly, or we can't hear something. So, go back to what Mr. Rubin.
I will repeat, township was set up, was not talking to legality, its purpose was a limited order. The way the state law is worded, I could move for affordable housing, gay rights, any issue I want at the township. That's the way the law is worded. But doing so in a way that a handful of people can submit a petition that many people do not hear about except by the chance coverage of the newspaper, to me is inappropriate. The arguments that have been given, for the vote, so far as I can tell, in the blog, in letters of supporting it, somewhat are the democratic arguments that Mark Sharp has presented, but they also involve attacks on the people in office, which are perfectly appropriate to attack political figures. But you do not change a political system to get rid of people who are in office. You unelect them or unappoint them. You maintain a political system that works. Those are my 3 points. Thank you for listening and stopping the unnecessary interruption.
My name is Ted McCarran. I'm from 3rd Ward. Basically, I understand Mr. Wilcox's points. I think they're valid. However, I do believe that that's an issue that needs to be addressed at a time coming up soon. We need to address making sure that the voters of a certain issue are the voters who are affected and nobody else. But that doesn't mean that we should necessarily throw the baby out with the bathwater. Home rule, and yes, I'm going to go into the content itself a little bit, it sounds nice, it sounds great, it sounds like an independent local municipality. In reality, home rule is a tool by which local governments can have much more power to take away money from citizens, to violate their rights, to regulate them to death. And at a time when we need to limit government on all levels, we definitely don't need another instrument for them to grow. So we definitely need to try to pass this, taking into consideration Mr. Wilcox's points, and in the future making sure that referendum are only for the people affected. Even though this is an advisory referendum, so that's another reason why, in response to Mr. Wilcox, at least it won't be forced on anybody. It's only advisory. By the time an actual referendum or something takes place that has teeth in it, maybe we can address his issue and have it affect only the local people. But this does need to be done. Government needs to be limited. Government at all levels is out of control. We're getting taxed to death, regulated to death, and it needs to go through.
All right,
Bill Blair. Actually, I have a question. And the question is that how could the question of home rule legitimately be placed on the DeKalb city ballot? Is it a question of going out and collecting signatures? If that's the case, why not approach it directly? Why do an end run? That seems to me like trying to avoid the direct approach. If collecting signatures is not the way to get it on a ballot, somebody else is here and knows exactly what it would be, could explain that to the group. I think that sort of addresses the whole question about the democracy.
all right. There was a hand. Well, would it be all right if I asked if someone has a direct answer to the question, just a very simple direct answer to the question just given? Okay.
My name is Kay Shelton. Thank you for coming. This was my idea, for the record.
Excuse me, I'm asking for an answer to Mr. Blair.
I am answering his question. Sir, the whole purpose of this is to collect public opinion. If the public gets a chance to vote on these issues and it's placed on the ballot and people vote for them, I'm sure a binding referendum will then be in the works. If people have a chance to vote on these ideas in November and they vote these issues down, we can finally put these issues to bed. This was my idea, and this was not a backdoor method. There was a township meeting that placed these items on the agenda for tonight, and those meetings were publicly acknowledged by the Open Meetings Act. Thank you.
He's got a second answer. Let's let him give a second answer.
Let me give a,
Can
I give a technical answer? Okay, the law is that you need a certain percentage of signatures, which is based on the percent of people who are registered voters within the impacted area, and there was a signature campaign that was carried out that failed to get the sufficient number of signatures. That's one approach. The second approach is the city council, by majority vote, can place it on a referendum. Either approach works. The city council has shown no inclination, I assume Mark would agree on that, to place it on the agenda, and the signature campaign, which was conducted in adverse weather, with a very impressive effort, failed. And those are the two approaches that can be used.
I think Mr. Blair's question has been answered. Is anyone else who wishes to speak to this first referendum?
Jim Lipke, 1103 Lewis, DeKalb. I supported this as a trustee because I believe, yes, people need to be heard by our township government. But tonight, I'm not a trustee, I'm an elector like the rest of you, and we have a responsibility to make sure that we're not putting something on a county ballot, county clerk has to put on, extra cost, and then also covering people who aren't in the city. We're going to get votes from people in Sycamore, we're going to exclude some people who aren't in the township who are also in the city of DeKalb. That isn't democracy there. The correct way is, yes, go out, get the right numbers, and do a campaign and get your signatures and get it placed on the correct ballot, on the city ballot. If we don't want to take it to the city council, fine, go out. We've got lots of people now gather signatures. Go out and get signatures. We can do that. It's been done before in this county for other things. You can get thousands of signatures. You just have to work at it. And most people, they respond to, we just like to get this on the ballot and give people a chance to hear it. You don't have to say yes or no right now. They'll go ahead and they'll sign it. They've done it.
Anyone who has not spoken wishes to speak to this particular item? Yes.
John Anderson, 844 South 7th Street, DeKalb. And I can see by the way that they were counting earlier votes here, there's only one true honest way to get the votes, and that is for those that are for it to go on one side or the other, and those that are against it to go on the other side. And not only then, you'll be able to take a look at your neighbors to see who wants democracy and who's against democracy.
I would like to call the question.
Objection.
Would you withdraw that?
Yes.
I do not see any other hands of those wishing. No, there's a hand in the back.
Jennifer Gross, 1743 Tall Meadow Drive, DeKalb, Illinois.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Jennifer Gross, G-R-O-C-E, 1743 Tall Meadow Drive. I just want to reiterate the point that's been heard, that there is a fact in the matter of this vote tonight. I've heard a lot about including everyone's opinion. There's been a lot of comments about democracy. There's been a lot of talk about giving public input. And we have to acknowledge one fact in the room. And people can call me shameful, and they can call me a disgrace. But it is a fact And if that is what those words mean, I'll wear them proudly on my chest, Mr. Sherman. That in this vote, it is unjust because there are members of this city of DeKalb that can't participate in this vote. You may say, it's just an opinion. Our forefathers, my family and yours, fought blood, sweat, and tears so that I have the right to vote. If it's an opinion or an advisory, it is my democratic right. Every citizen of the city of DeKalb should have that right to be able to express their opinion. When you ask a question that is fundamentally how you will govern us, if they all choose to revoke home rule, fine, or if they don't. But don't deprive someone of their liberty. Don't deprive someone of their democracy. Give them a chance to be able to voice their opinion. I say vote no to this because not every resident of the city of DeKalb is included in this township, and therefore it is unfair. A slap in the face is that there are over 1,200 voters who don't live in the city of DeKalb who will be allowed to vote on issues that are fundamentally only about the city of DeKalb. Thank you for your time.
I do not see any other hands. Before we go to a vote, do we have a number of electors present? Do you have that number? Or while we're voting, can you? All right. I think everybody here wants an accurate vote on this. By a nod of heads, I think that a show of hands will be difficult to get an accurate vote.
Make a
I
motion
see
for
a
a
lot
roll
of
call
hands.
vote, please.
Dividing the room, are you?
There's a motion for a roll call.
Motion for a roll call.
Second.